On February 28th, Amanda and I posted episode 3. About 3 months before the morning this footage was shot, of Larry and Jay leaving McKurtis to begin their trip. The third episode was a casting call, for the lack of a better term. We did our best to flood the internet, reaching out in every forum, every social site, posting network and bike community we could find, which left us with 2 months to both raise the money we needed for the film and to find 2 or more people already planning on doing a coast-to-coast bicycle trip. The emails and messages began to slowly trickle in, one by one at first and then in small waves. Some introductions were 1 sentence long, and some went into great detail and referenced links and blogs and photos online. It became an overwhelming task to filter out potential subjects for the film. With so little time, so much weight on the people we chose. Limited by our budget, we worked only through forms of online contact, and having never met these people face to face, everything we had was in their introduction. The way they spoke, the reasons they gave for writing, the stories of how they came to this decision. The process was rushed and unfair. Many seemed like impulse reactions. Many introductions came from people who had no plans to ride or travel that summer. They were just willing to entertain the idea. On March 23rd, I received a MySpace message from someone named Fun. It read, "My name is Larry McKurtis. I'm 23 years old. I live in Sacramento. I've been unemployed for 2.5 months, and I want to ride my bike across the country. I quit my job to live life on my own terms, with the inspiration of Thoreau giving me the goal to not be afraid of doing so. I want to travel. I want to see the things I stare at on the Discovery Channel. I want to smile when I'm around spoiled college kids my age that talk about their guided trips to Europe with their parents, because they don't understand the true sacrifice of a journey. I have my own journey to do, one I share with my best friend, Jay. I lost a lot of sleep last night thinking about it, plotting and planning, thinking of what bike to use, what gear I need and don't. I know this is a pretty standard letter, but I would love to do this trip. I'm all in. I have nothing to lose, and I want to find out why I really want to do this. I hope to hear back from you soon, and thanks for reading, Larry McKurtis." Out of all the submissions, Larry seemed to best articulate the mindset and drive we wanted in the film, and I felt very confident that the 2 best friends were doing this for the right reasons, that they would get the most out of the trip. On May 16th, I took a flight from LAX to Reno at 9 in the morning. Then renting a car to drive 58 miles northwest, where Larry and Jay had been training since leaving Sacramento. Larry would later admit that he wanted to test me. We drove into the mountains to hike one of the tallest peaks overlooking the Sierra Buttes. The view was beautiful, and I thought of the last time I climbed the mountain, 6 years ago with my best friend Tim, during our first bike trip after we reached Logan's Pass at Glacier Park. We traded stories of adventures, and Larry asked about the details of my past bike trips. Where I slept, what I ate, how far I rode, how I trained, why I left in the first place. We sat on a slope of rock under the Fire Watchtower, 8,500 feet above sea level, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches Larry had made for the both of us that morning. It was one of the first times in as long as I can remember that I felt fully confident this project might actually work after all. It was exactly what I needed. I spent the afternoon watching Larry and his friend John fish. John had just returned from Egypt, and I felt fascinated by his description of the pyramids and the Sphinx. Of all the traveling I had done in my life, I had never really been out of the country. I only met with Jay for a moment that night, and on the drive back to Reno, I felt lucky to have had such amazing friends stumble onto our project. I wondered what Larry and Jay were doing the night Chuck, Amanda, and I first talked about this film. The two of them, I could tell, were connected in a way that was almost absolutely necessary when traveling by bike for thousands of miles. I knew then that they would make it. I could see the two of them coasting through the streets of Bar Harbor, months from now, pushing each other through the strong winds and dry heat of Montana, and helping each other through the tortuously slow burn of the Rocky Mountains, the rolling hills of the Midwest, the endless grass fields stretching between North Dakota and New York. It was all happening. It was all finally falling into place. These two were what Amanda and I had been waiting for. The minutes after Jay and Larry began their trip, we realized we had killed the battery to our van charging camera equipment. We asked for a jump from a couple driving by, and spent the next 4 hours searching for Larry and Jay along the bicycling route, with no luck. I began to panic that much of our trip would be spent searching for the two each time they turned a corner and left our sights. The two decided to take the second day off in Marble Mount, taking advantage of the great fishing the locals had told them about. After eating dinner that night, Larry and Jay approached the crew and I, and the two of them seemed nervous. I could see that Larry especially was having difficulty with what they were about to say. But before I can explain, I need to tell you the story of Jay's knee. Jay began snowboarding at the age of 4. At the age of 17, Jay made the U.S. snowboarding team, competing in New Zealand, Austria, Italy, France, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Chile, Peru, and Argentina. In 2006, Jay made the Olympics. A year before, on March 7th, Jay dropped a 30-foot cliff that had been windblown and covered in ice, damaging his ACL, requiring reconstructive surgery. A year later, on March 20th, 2006, Jay fractured his fibula bone while overshooting a jump during his training at the Olympics, requiring meniscus repair and further ACL reconstruction. 6 months later, during the Chile World Cup, Jay caught a toe edge in competition, tearing his bicep and tricep and fracturing the rhomboid in his shoulder. While riding at Burrell, a chairlift caught the back of his leg, tearing his meniscus a second time. Only 4 months before the trip, Jay blew out his ACL in Breckenridge, Colorado after the X Games. Surgery required drilling out all previous surgery's hardware and construction, filling the holes where bolts had once been with a bone-like compound, leaving his right knee with no ACL. Concerned about his ability to ride a bicycle 4,200 miles over the course of 60 days, Jay was advised by his doctors that an ACL wasn't necessary in biking. They hoped the excessive exercise would strengthen his knee, helping the upcoming surgery, which would then build a new ACL and begin reconstruction from scratch. Jay explained that his knee was not holding up as he had hoped. The following days would take the two through some of the highest passes of the trip. I had spent little time with Jay, but I knew that he was, in many ways, tough. And if he had spent the day weighing his options and made the choice to stay, that it was serious and for the best. The following morning, Larry packed up his bike. Jay was going to stay in Marble Mount another week until someone could pick him up. The two best friends had spent countless hours anticipating this trip, imagining the miles, all the time knowing that they would experience this together, that this adventure would be theirs and no one else's. They said their goodbyes, and it would be months before they would see each other again. And like that, Larry was alone. And would be for the next 4,000 miles. I could see that as Larry rode away he was crying, and I wished there was something I could say. Larry would later explain that the last time he had cried was the previous December, on the 6th. It was a Wednesday, and the last time he would see his grandmother before she passed away. This trip was for her. She was the reason he would see this through.
Well, boss, guess it's on you now, man. By the way, this hairdo's for you, bro. Just for you. Don't be a sissy. Don't turn back. Do it for your grandma and me and T-Rex. Don't forget about Jub Jub either, you hear me? Pretty bummed to see you go, but I'm stoked that you're doing it, man. All by yourself. It takes some nuts. And can't wait to see you dip your pedal in the end, buddy.